Night falls quietly in the Gulf of Mexico, but 5,000 feet below the surface, something is stirring. Without warning, a column of mud and seawater explodes into the air, followed by gas, oil, and fire. Within seconds, a billion-dollar rig is engulfed in flames, and 11 men are gone, never seen again. This wasn't just an accident. It was the beginning of the largest environmental disaster in U.S. history. One so massive, satellites could see the oil from space. But here's what most people never saw: the cover-ups, the failed solutions, and the desperate race to seal a hole beneath the ocean floor, deeper than the Empire State Building is tall. In this video, we'll uncover the secrets behind the Deepwater Horizon disaster, how engineers fought to stop the unstoppable, what really caused the blowout, and just how much oil was lost when the ocean bled black. Stay with us, because this isn't just a story about oil. It's a story about risk, pressure, and the terrifying cost of failure at the bottom of the sea. If this story grips you already, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to support our channel. It helps us keep uncovering the hidden truths they'd rather leave buried. To grasp the scale of what happened, imagine the Empire State Building, not as a landmark, but as a container. It can hold 277 million gallons of oil. On the night of April 20th, 2010, that container was still empty, but not for long. That night, Deepwater Horizon was preparing to seal a completed well. The job was nearly done. Tests were underway. But then, a spike in pressure, not once, but twice. It meant something was coming up from the depths, something that shouldn't be. Despite the warnings, the crew pressed on. Minutes before 10 p.m., a violent burst of mud and seawater shot skyward. Then gas, then fire. The rig became a fireball in the dark. 115 people made it off. 11 never did. For 3 days, the Coast Guard searched. No sign, no survivors. But this was only the beginning, because as the rig sank beneath the waves, a far greater disaster was unfolding below. Oil was pouring into the ocean, unseen, unmeasured, and at first, denied. Emergency teams tried to fight the fire, but Deepwater Horizon was isolated, nearly 50 miles offshore, and the blaze was being fed from below. Oil continued to surge from the well, fueling an inferno the size of 2 or 3 football fields. After burning for 2 days, the rig gave way. It groaned, tilted, and slipped beneath the sea in minutes. The fire was over, but the disaster had only begun. Far below, the open well was now bleeding into the Gulf, filling our measuring tower with crude oil. At first, BP claimed there was no leak, but within days, satellite images and pressure data told a different story. Engineers sent a remotely operated vehicle down to find the source. At the seafloor stood the blowout preventer, BOP, a multi-ton safety system designed to seal the well in emergencies. 2 key systems had been triggered, the pipe rams and annular preventers, but it was too late. Oil had already bypassed them. There was one last backup, the blind shear ram, but it failed to cut, and the automatic failsafe, meant to engage when power was lost, never activated. Why? No one knew. And what the cameras would soon reveal was far worse. The failed cofferdam was a blow, but there was no time to dwell. Engineers pivoted to Plan C, a simple pipe insertion strategy. No dome, no containment box, just a narrow tube inserted directly into the broken riser pipe. Surprisingly, it worked. Partially. The team managed to collect some of the oil into a surface tank while flaring off the natural gas. For the first time in weeks, the unstoppable flow began to slow. But it was far from over. Oil was still escaping around the pipe, and with every passing hour, the ocean absorbed more of it. Silently, relentlessly. This wasn't a fix. It was a band-aid, and time was running out. That's when engineers proposed a far more radical plan. The junk shot. The idea? Fire debris, rubber balls, rope, even shredded tires, into the BOP, hoping to clog it with sheer volume. It sounded desperate, because it was. But desperation was all they had left. The deep-sea drilling vessel Q4000 was brought in. Heavy mud was prepared. Cameras went live. And with the whole world watching, they pulled the trigger. The junk shot failed, badly. Each attempt ended the same. Golf balls, rope, and rubber were spat right back out. The pressure from the well was simply too great, and with each failed shot, the risk grew. A subsea blowout. That meant oil wouldn't just leak from the wellhead, but from the seafloor itself, uncontrollably, from multiple points. It would be the point of no return. Engineers backed off. The plan was abandoned. And just like that, they were back to zero. Again. Cleanup costs were now topping $6 million a day, with projections climbing into the billions. The clock was still ticking. The original relief well was still weeks from completion. Then came a shift in thinking. What if they didn't cover the whole leak, but just capped it? Unlike the 100-ton cofferdam, this would be a smaller, tighter cap, designed to lock directly onto the top of the BOP. It was a gamble. If the cap didn't work, cutting the pipe could make things worse. But it was their next and only hope. Cutting the pipe was a gamble. The kinks had been slowing the flow, barely. But once severed, the release rate surged by up to 20%, turning an already massive leak into a full-blown torrent. All eyes were now on the small containment cap. To prevent freezing, warm water was pumped down. Engineers watched through live feeds as ROVs positioned the cap, inch by inch. And then, it locked in. For the first time in 86 days, the Gulf began to quiet. The cap held. Oil began flowing through containment pipes to surface vessels. So much crude was collected, multiple ships had to be brought in just to store it all. But this was only partial relief. Leaks still escaped from the edges. And so, new caps were designed, each one better sealed, each one slowing the flow even further. Until finally, day 86, the leak stopped completely. It was temporary, but it held. And just in time, the first relief well intersected with the original. Drilling mud and cement were pumped down, forming a permanent plug. For the first time since April 20th, the well was finally dead. 110 days after it all began, the official loss was estimated at 134 million gallons, filling our Empire State container halfway. But independent scientists offered a different number. By analyzing video footage, pressure readings, geological conditions, and flow dynamics, they reached a far grimmer conclusion. Over 210 million gallons of crude oil may have escaped. That would fill nearly 3/4 of our measuring tower. And these were not just numbers. Each gallon had the power to cover vast stretches of ocean, as seen in satellite images captured by NASA, where deep black veins spread like ink across the Gulf. This was not simply a spill, it was a slow-motion collapse of systems, safeguards, and trust. And even now, the full weight of what was lost may never truly be measured. Over 900 dolphins were found stranded along the coast, many already lifeless. Species closest to shore suffered the most. BP disputed the higher spill estimates, arguing that hundreds of thousands of gallons were captured before ever reaching the Gulf. But with so much at stake, it's hard to ignore the motive behind minimizing the number. What we do know is this: whether it was 134 million or 210 million gallons, the Deepwater Horizon disaster remains the largest accidental oil spill in human history. 11 men lost, an ecosystem scarred, and a rupture over 5,000 feet below the sea that only the world's best minds could attempt to seal. But here's the real question: how many other holes are still leaking, hidden, quiet, unresolved? Let us know what you think in the comments. And if you feel that pull to keep searching, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a step in our journey to uncover what still hides on this earth. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.